Today I installed this Hozereel, that's hose spelled with a Z. It's a heavy duty retractable garden hose. I wasn't really sure how I wanted to mount this. I know the best thing to do, or the most common thing to do, is to mount it into the brick or into your siding, but I was going to put it on a post, and I was thinking a steel post. I had some 4x4 steel angle iron laying around that would have been a pretty strong support, but I ended up going with pressure treated 4x4. I figure if I'm doing a YouTube video, that's a little bit easier to get your hands on. That's available at Home Depot. And also, it's going to look a little bit better. And also, I don't have to paint it because obviously when leaving steel outside, it rusts over time. So the first thing I did was head over to Lowe's. No, this is Home Depot first. I went to Home Depot to get more fasteners because although it does come with fasteners, if you're going to fasten it directly, like I said, to the brick or whatnot, I was going to do something a little bit different. So I went and got some more fasteners that worked, got some Quikrete. I got 2 bags, ended up only needing 1. I dug down, well, right here in about, it only takes like 5 minutes to dig this far. I think I went to 2 feet there, and then I was like, you know what, might as well go a little bit further. I'll go as far as I mean, because the 4x4 came in like a 6-foot length, and so I was like, well, I'll cut off, I don't know, 6 inches or something, and then I'll have 3 feet popping out, because I bought a white vinyl sleeve for the 4x4 that was 3 feet, and I was like, well, I'll put the rest underground, cut off this knot, and then this will be, more than enough for this, hose reel, which is not very heavy at all. Dug a little bit more, almost 3 feet there. Hard to tell on the angle there, but pretty close to 3 feet. And then I end up putting some different stones I had laying around, and some pea gravel. Didn't bother buying anything specifically for this. Took some of these stones, help with the drainage, threw them in the bottom of the hole, also to prevent the post from moving at all. It gives it like a good base. And then as you see, I had some pea gravel laying around. I put down like 2 to 4 inches of that in the bottom. That helps with drainage. I know it's pressure treated wood, so it's supposed to not rot, but this will even extend the life further by putting some of this pea gravel at the bottom of the hole. So then I took it back to the garage, chopped off, I want to say like 6 inches from the top. I didn't get that on video. Popped that in the hole, and then you can see this is that vinyl piece I bought from Lowe's. Ordered it online, came to a little crack, so I decided not to use it. Then I went back to the garage, grabbed this Quikrete, like I said, grabbed 2 bags from Home Depot. I think they're like $5 or $5.50 or something for the fast setting. You don't need the high PSI, obviously. It's not like a commercial or heavy duty application. This is extremely light work. If I didn't dig as deep, I might have used the 2, and I might have used a bigger hole, but I decided to go down, like I said, probably 2.5, 3 feet, close, probably 2.5 feet is how far the post is in the ground, and then put this on the lower half of that's in the ground, and I left a good amount on top rather than using the second bag. Even though the second bag would have been beneficial, I wanted to make sure there was like 8 inches for the root zone, because I would like the grass to kind of fill in here. I'm going to try to make this side yard, a little bit less mucky this season. So I use the level to make the post. Now I'm not going to say level because people yell at me. I believe plumb is the right word. I used the level to make sure the post was plumb. I sat here for a little bit thinking, do I add this second bag? But like I said, I ended up just leaving it with just 1 bag in. Put in like basically a gallon of water. I didn't really eyeball it. I had this cup laying next to me from the pool equipment, so just I think one of those filled was a quart or so. So dumped 4 of those in, roughly a gallon in there, and then I went inside, came back out an hour or 2 later, and it was it says like 4 hours to cure, but even after an hour or 2, it was pretty sturdy. Within the first 10 minutes, this water soaked up and no longer pooled around the base. So this is the vinyl post I bought from Lowe's. I can't remember if I mentioned, it was like $25 or so. So kind of pricey, but I thought, you know what, it looks decent, it'll look good. This is the way to do it. But I realized, first of all, it arrived damaged. Second of all, the bracket on the Hozereel is a little bit wider. There you can see the damage it arrived with. Not that bad, but I was like, $25 for this piece of plastic, kind of pricey. Should I just go get one that's not broken? But as you can see right here, those holes don't line up with the 4x4. And so I'm like, I should have checked this before going this route. But I'll have to make some sort of bracket. I'm like, well, do I just offset it? Because there's 4 holes, so 1 in each corner, and there's 1 in the center. I was like, well, maybe I just do 3 holes, and I could just mount it like that. Like, I think that's what most people would do. I didn't go that route. I was like, I'm gonna try to install this properly for the channel. So I decided to end up fabricating, which, basically just cutting some steel and drilling some holes, a couple brackets to make this work and put it center. So I went to my garage, dug through, pile of scrap, steel. I have here, I get my steel from Cormark up north of Fort Worth. It's pretty cheap. A lot of this stuff under 4 feet you get by the pound, so it's super reasonable. So I was just looking for some bar. I wanted to be low profile. I was initially going to use like a 2x4 mounted to that. I'm like, you know what? That's going to be thick and it's going to look kind of bad. If I use a steel bar, it's going to be low profile. I can hide most of it and use my cold cut saw to chop this up. If you don't have those type of tools, you don't have a cold cut saw in your garage, then you can obviously use an angle grinder with the proper wheel on it. So as you can see, I drilled 3 holes, 1 in the center that I'll actually mount this little, I don't know, doohickey, whatever you want to call it, this bracket to the post, and then 1 on each side. Those are for the plastic bracket from the Hozereel to mount to. So I'll bolt through on each corner, and then I'll use actually the fastener that this came with, the leg screws to screw that in and mount it to the 4x4. So just like this. So I use my impact, I think I'm using my impact wrench for this actually. Fasten that bracket, did the top one first, and then use that plastic piece. The plastic bracket it comes with to line up the second metal one on the lower half. Kind of just eyeballing it, not using a tape measure or anything like I should be, but it worked out fine. And then I was in a little bit of a predicament because, well, kind of like I suggested earlier, is that the screw hole is like, it's just on the edge. It's not deep enough to go into the 4x4, but it's not far enough out that I'll be able to fit like the bolt through and then also a nut on that. So I took the same drill bit, and as you can see, this fell off there, but I took the same drill bit from the drill press and put that in my drill. So just I was able to kind of just push that through, drill through the wood. Took this little belt sander, can't remember the exact name of this, but I was like, you know what, maybe this is a good use for this. Although I have the is it called zirconia belts on it for metal and whatever. I was just like, I'm not gonna bother changing this, I'll use this on the wood. So sanded that out a little bit, made the bolts fit through, got the nuts on, and things started coming together. And then I put some dirt back in the hole, and then I had the chunks of sod that I cut out, not too much, but I had some that I was able to recover, stomp those in, and we were ready to mount this Hozereel. It's kind of nice how it just, you can pick it up and remove it and then put it back on. So if you need access to the area, like if you were going to paint the siding there off to the right, which I did like a year or 2 ago, you could easily just pop this off, move it. There's no bolts or anything. It slides right off. So that's cool. Swivels, of course. It comes with this spray nozzle, which I don't know. It seems like it's pretty decent quality. I know every review says that, but I mean, they didn't just give you a Hozereel and throw you the cheapest nozzle. You can kind of see from the photo here, the coverage is pretty decent. Obviously, all the connections come with washers, rubber washers, so nothing leaks. I pulled this out to my front yard. You guys may recall this area here was spilled on. I call it a spill, but my carpet cleaner didn't spill. He purposely dumped his solution on here a few times, and I'm just fortunate by the 4th or 5th time I noticed him actually doing it. And so now I know why my soil has such high sodium. It all makes sense now. But anyways, to resolve the high sodium, there's a number of things that need to be done. Ideally, remove the soil, but a cheaper option, well, hopefully it's not that cheap, but drenching it with water. I'll throw, at least $100 worth of water here with my new hose setup, which is, convenient because I have my sprinklers, but my sprinklers only, they have 5 nozzles per zone. So it's a little bit overkill. If I'm just trying to drench the one area where the cleaning solution was dumped on the soil, I want to target that part, individually rather than wasting water by watering everything too much. So got this set up here on the lawn, roughly in the spot where it was dumped. this part of my lawn is pretty deep shade. Bermuda grass does awful in deep shade, but this is the Home 131. Plus, it's also dealing with 22% sodium or something ridiculous in the soil. As I mentioned, it has rubber washers, so none of this is leaking. Pretty nice to have this set up. A lot of my other stuff is old and everything leaks, so it's definitely nice to have this. Now, I don't really have any complaints, but if I was trying to think of something I wish this had, was my faucet is on the right side of my hose reel, but the connection for the hose is on the left side of the hose reel. So my little hose that's like 6 foot long has to go under and over to the other side. It'd be cool if it just connected on the bottom, or if it could connect on either side or something like that. Overall, pretty solid hose reel. I'll drop a link to where you can get it in the description. Feel free to check these guys out.